Missing someone, love with all your heart. Missing someone, love with heart.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In this week's episode, I'm going to transform this client of mine. She is a creative color client, and I'm going to walk you through how I normally do her hair. Sorry I didn't get any before footage, but this is basically the before pictures that I took of her hair. Her roots are pretty much grown out, and I haven't seen her in about 4 months. The last color we did was a blue, and surprisingly her blue has stayed only because she has been refreshing it using the color balm that I made her. And for those of you guys who don't know what a color balm is, I basically use the Pulbright Santa Barbara, which is their intensive hair mask. And I like to custom make a color mask for my creative color clients, and so I will create a tone that is very similar to whatever my clients leave with that day. That way, in between appointments, for instance, this client, she just refreshes it at home. I do recommend that they do this as often as they'd like, and before the color completely fades out, to prevent any spots from being uneven. So starting off this color, I do like to lighten her roots first. So I am using some Schwarzkopf Blonde Me Lightener to lighten up her roots, and her highlighting pattern is pretty standard. It's normally what I do on majority of my clients. This just makes it easy for me to kind of pick up where I left off last time, especially when a client waits this long in between appointments. It's very important to pick up all of the hair that you left out last time, just to maintain the integrity of the hair and just to make sure that you're not overlapping, because sometimes if you start to weave a bit randomly on hair that the roots are this long, you can create some dark spots or breakage, even if you're not very consistent with the weaving pattern that you do on each of your clients. So doing a very specific weave pattern where I do a bit of a chunky weave on the underneath and then slightly go a bit more medium and small weave on the top makes it very easy for me to visually see what needs to be weaved each appointment, and that way my clients can go this long in between appointments as well, while enjoying their creative colors, so that this kind of makes it a little bit lower maintenance for them and more manageable as well. So doing this type of weaving pattern, it makes it very easy for my clients to maintain this color, because they don't have to come in every 4 to 6 weeks to get their roots touched up like you would for a normal bleach and tone. And when this grows out too, it's going to give her the softest grow out. I feel like every time this client specifically comes in, her roots never really bother her, but she does know that her roots are due. But she definitely loves the grow out of the color, because it's weaved so well with her natural that as this color grows out, or whatever color that we do in the past, she always loves the fade of it and the grow out of it. And so that is the plus of doing a more balayage look for when doing creative color, because I'm creating a low maintenance color for something that technically fades quite fast. So another thing that I like to mention, especially on my girls that have, I would say, a level 5 and darker, is that I try my best to try and maintain that solid end look on any of their balayages, especially if we're doing a brighter tone or if they want to feel on the lighter side. So this client specifically, she likes to gravitate towards silver tones, lighter tones, just because they look really good against her skin tone. So whenever I'm weaving, I try to keep in mind that we need to keep her ends solid. So let's say that she waited even longer than this appointment, then I would probably weave my weaves a little bit closer together without leaving as much negative space to maintain that solid effect that are on the ends. So another thing that I like to consider whenever a client asks me, oh Lauren, when should I come in to get my roots touched up, or how can I maintain this color because I love it so much, is if a client particularly has dark hair and it's very hard to lift, let's say it's a bit more on the stubborn side, it doesn't lift very well, it takes a bit longer, or it's on the more fragile side. And so a client like that, I wouldn't really recommend that they wait this long as much as this client. The only reason why this client is able to wait this long, considering how dark her natural is because her hair particularly lifts very well. What that means is that her hair is always super healthy after we do a lightening service, and it generally lifts very quickly. And when it lifts too, it lifts really well past that like too much of a yellow stage. Like she lifts to a really nice inside of a banana peel, and so for her, I don't mind her waiting this long. But if I did have a client who was the same level as her and she didn't lift as well as her, I probably wouldn't have her wait this long or be okay with it, because then it would run into problems of her roots not lifting all the way and creating some banding. And sometimes in that process too, like if a client has really stubborn dark hair that doesn't lift very quickly, sometimes leaving the lightener on too long too can cause some damage if the roots are too long. So I have been doing this client's hair for a couple years now, so I really know her hair really well. But if I ever felt like a client, I had some trouble lifting her hair or it just didn't lift as well, I definitely would have them come in sooner. But because of the way that this client's hair is, I feel like this works best with her hair, and she's okay with getting away with waiting that long. But again, with any type of hair color, you are customizing the maintenance and the color needs to that specific client. And I always talk about that. There is a general rule of thumb that I tell my clients it's best to come in every 12 to 14 weeks. But in the sense, if I do feel like their hair can go a bit longer, I will definitely let them go a little bit longer. But if I do have a sense that that client's hair can't take waiting any longer, I definitely do let them know. And those are some key things that I look into by determining if they need to come in sooner or if they could wait a little bit longer. So another thing that I want to know is the color of her hair. So the last color that we did was a really nice denim type of blue, and so I made her that blue color balm that was very similar to the color that we had done in the salon. And I did warn her prior to going blue that this might fade green, and I tell that to literally all my clients that are interested in doing blue. Now the interesting thing was that she told me that her hair really didn't fade green at all, and I really do believe that it's probably because I lifted her as light as we could. She lifts really well, and when she lifts, it's such a pretty yellow, like it's not too yellow when she reaches a nice level 9 and 10. So I feel like that plays a huge role in the fade of your creative colors, especially if you're doing a blue color, to try and lift the hair as light as possible, and then even trying to add in some violet into your blue formula to help cancel out that yellow as it fades. So here you can see how well my client's hair lifts, and then so we're going to be putting on some Pulp-Bright semitones. For her semitones, I mixed up a bunch of different range of like purples to kind of create a nice like bluish purple. She wanted a smoky purple, so I had to consider that she already has blue on her ends, so that is why I mixed up two different formulas. So that root formula is going to be more of the true purple that she wants all over, which is that kind of like smoky bluish purple, and then the purple that's going to go over the blue mids and ends, I made slightly more pinky so that that pink could mix in with the blue and create a smoky purple. So whenever mixing up any type of semitone, it's really important to take into consideration like what the canvases that you're going to be painting these colors on and what your goal is and what it needs. For instance, since her roots had so much yellow in it, I felt like I needed something that was extra purple that would help cancel out that yellow yet create that nice smoky purple. And then for the ends, since those ends had that blue, I needed something that would mix in with the blue to create that smoky purple, because if I were to just put on the same formula all over, then the ends would look more bluish than more of a smoky purple in my opinion, because I would just be adding more purple into the blue and it wouldn't really create an extra purple. I feel like the pink and warmth that I have added into the lighter color is going to create that nice more purple look. And here in her after, you can definitely tell that the ends, if I didn't add in those pink tones into the end formula, it would have definitely looked a lot more blue than this, because it already kind of looks kind of like a bluish purple from the ends because of how much blue she already had on her ends. Alrighty guys, so that is it for this week's episode. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and I will talk to you guys next week.